Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport today. And by Energy Sage. Time's running out in the US to get the benefits of federal tax incentives, so plan your energy independence today. And by you. Stick around to find out how you can help us remain 100% independent by joining us on Patreon this autumn. Welcome back to another episode of TEN Transport Evolved News. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're safe, well, and with someone you care about who also cares for you. And if you are in the US and you were out last weekend at No Kings, you rock. I met some of you locally, and I'm so glad I went. However, I am only mostly human, and sometimes I make mistakes, so today we're starting with a correction from last week that's 100% my fault. I incorrectly called the Cadillac Optique larger than the Lyriq, when in fact, of course, it is smaller. I, of course, knew this, but I'm a doofus, and I was running on less sleep and caffeine than manufacturer recommended while script writing and reading. Mea culpa. And thanks to those of you commenting last week to keep me honest. We start today's stories with the official launch of Also, a brand new micromobility brand that's been quietly developed by a skunkworks at Rivian. Launching on Wednesday, Also's lineup starts with an electric bicycle, the TMB. It's a Class 2 to 3 e-bike. It promises up to 100 miles of range in its more expensive form, with 180 newton meters of torque, 800 watt-hour battery pack, and the ability to charge it with a USB-C cable at up to 240 watts. Its launch price is frankly eye-watering, $4,500, but also promised other future models, including a less expensive TMB model, and it also unveiled a high-tech cycling helmet with integrated lights that will pair with the bike, as well as promising 2 bike lane-compatible pedal assist delivery quadricycles that it aims to produce commercially. I know that 2025 has felt a little like the year of EV death in North America, and unfortunately, there is more of it in today's show. This week, despite an increase in sales of its BrightDrop delivery vehicles, General Motors has confirmed it's halted all production of the vehicle at its Cami production facility in Ontario, Canada, with factory staff there laid off. GM blames a slowing of the commercial electric vehicle market and, quote, changing regulatory environment and the elimination of tax credits in the United States. GM says it will assess the future of the Cami assembly plant for what it says are future opportunities, but from here its future looks bleak. And while GM's CEO Mary Barra was cosplaying the Grim this week, she also confirmed that GM is killing all Android Auto and Apple CarPlay functionality on future vehicles from the brand, both EV and ICE. Given GM has sued companies seeking to re-add it to vehicles, it looks bad. In many regions, automakers must meet strict average CO2 emissions and fuel economy targets. And in Europe, companies that don't produce enough low-emission vehicles face hefty fines unless they team up with a cleaner automaker to pull fleet emissions. This week, Nissan, which has been pooling with alliance partner Renault, announced it's switching to pool with China's BYD, which sells only plug-in hybrid and battery electric vehicles in Europe. Pooling has its financial perks. The greener company charges the heavier polluter for combining fleets, while the polluter meets regulations more cheaply than paying those fines. For Nissan, though, the move is disappointing given its past EV ambitions. It's still not making nearly enough low-emission vehicles on its own, so partnering with BYD is the fastest, cheapest path to compliance, and one that could save them a tidy sum in fines. 5 years ago, during the first year of COVID-19, automakers struggled to secure enough microprocessors for EVs. While the supply chain has now stabilised, it now faces renewed stress. Nexperia, a key supplier of automotive semiconductors, is at the centre of a geopolitical dispute that is limiting the availability of its chips. The situation began when multiple countries raised concerns that Nexperia's parent company, WingTech, might transfer critical intellectual property to China. In response, the Dutch government took control of Nexperia's operations and removed its Chinese CEO. China then retaliated by imposing export restrictions on components containing Nexperia chips, many of which are processed in China before shipment. These measures could disrupt roughly 80% of Nexperia's automotive component exports, raising the spectre of a supply chain crisis reminiscent of 5 years ago. It's looking very bad indeed, unless we see a last-minute reprieve. The ongoing illegal occupation of Ukraine by Russia shows no sign of ending anytime soon, especially with the US's White House stance towards the conflict continually flip-flopping. Despite daily challenges that most of us can barely imagine, Ukrainians are finding ways to carry on. In a country regularly affected by bombings and disruption, maintaining transportation is critical. Data this week from the Ukrainian Automobile Association shows part of that involves an increase in EV registrations. Last month, nearly 1/3 of the 6,800 cars sold there were electric, with a large number not being new, but imported used EVs from China. The Volkswagen ID Unix, a China-only model, has proven particularly popular with Ukrainian buyers. And it makes sense. Unlike gasoline vehicles, EVs don't require a central supply chain to operate, helping citizens stay mobile and independent during this very dark period in history. Over the past decade, we've seen a massive increase in the number of publicly accessible EV charging stations around the world, making longer distance trips far more practical. Along with the rise of those charging stations, however, there's also been an increase in theft and vandalism. Charging stations, especially higher-powered ones, are prime targets for thieves looking to profit from the metals in a charging cable. This week, charging station firm Allego UK revealed how much damage these thieves and vandals are causing. Using Freedom of Information request, it tallied millions of pounds in damage to EV charging stations in the UK over the past 3 years. While the black market value of a cable is modest, about £20 sterling per station, the costs to repair or replace those cables are far higher, affecting not only the availability and reliability, but also the cost to charge at each charging station. If you've been watching the channel in the last few months, you'll know that Stellantis, the owner of Jeep, Dodge, Fiat, Alfa Romeo and more, has wasted no time in its cull of EV models in the US and Canada. So far, we've seen it drop plans to produce an electric Ram pickup, cancel the more powerful variant of the Dodge Charger EV, and delay or stop development on several other plug-in models. This week, the brand confirmed that the newest victims of its changed plans include the next-generation Alfa Romeo Giulia and Stelvio, both of which were due to launch next year as electric-only models. The company has decided to delay the next-generation vehicles by at least a year to replace the electric-only drivetrains with twin-turbo inline 6-cylinder engines. It's not clear if the brand will ever make them all electric as originally planned, but it's evident Stellantis is doing everything it can to avoid making EVs at every cost. While most of the world focuses on electrifying personal cars, Africa is taking a different approach, electrifying two-wheelers, primarily electric Boda. For those unfamiliar, Boda are motorcycle taxis popular in parts of East Africa. They carry people and goods, replacing car-based taxis in many areas. Multiple firms are now supplying Boda operators with electric motorcycles for their businesses, and this week, two of those companies, Arc Ride and Spiro, secured major funding to expand their efforts. Arc Ride, based in Kenya, received up to $10 million in loans from French firm Mirova to establish as many as 600 battery swap stations for its electric fleet. Meanwhile, Spiro completed Africa's largest ever investment in two-wheel electric transport, raising $100 million. The company plans to expand its battery swap stations across the continent and aims to have 100,000 electric motorcycles on Africa's roads by the end of this year. Given the nasty news we've seen in the EV world of late, I needed this story. Keeping with the feel of good news, it's nearly Halloween, and aside from that meaning I turn 46 the very next day, we're seeing automakers roll out their Halloween specials to keep owners entertained. Sometimes those Halloween tweaks are very much hidden Easter eggs, like the pumpkin screensavers on the Mercedes-Benz range of EVs. Sometimes they're a little more public, and this week, Rivian continued its long-standing Halloween tradition of pushing a special over-the-air seasonal software update to its vehicles, adding a new Halloween twist for 2025. This year, the firm is going swamp-themed, with 4 new exterior display modes designed to get the Halloween vibes flowing: Swamp Gas, Player Piano, Bayou Blast, and Scary Spirit. Owners can activate them from inside or outside when parked, and the software can even be triggered by motion sensors, perfect for a sidewalk trick-or-treat surprise. Given our current timeline, I am totally here for a little harmless, spooky fun. And finally, some news I wish was spooky fun, but which is totally real: the decimation of green transportation and energy projects by the US government under President Trump. Aside from the truly unhinged and unlawful attacks on citizens, civil rights, and even the People's House, the administration has pushed the Department of Energy to cancel $700 million in already approved grants for battery manufacturing projects in the US. This move lays the groundwork for mass layoffs. It also threatens the EV, clean energy, and battery industries across the US. Some firms affected by this change promise to continue regardless, but new data this week shows that $24 billion worth of clean energy programs have already been scrapped in the US this year, a direct consequence of Donald Trump's pro-fossil fuel, anti-climate action stance. Last weekend, 7 million people turned out at No Kings, and analysts say 12 million are needed for a real chance to make a meaningful impact. So if you are able, get involved. And if you are in the US and you would like to counter the pro-fossil fuel stance of the current administration while securing your energy future, why not talk to today's video sponsor, Energy Sage. Energy Sage connects you with local verified solar installers across the US and now heat pump specialists in select markets who really know their stuff and can help guide you through the process of installing solar panels or getting a heat pump installed. Not a homeowner? No worries. Energy Sage can still help you green your electricity by helping you join a community solar program. We used Energy Sage ourselves when looking for installers willing to put solar panels on our roof, and their verified pros were knowledgeable and even introduced us to a fantastic credit union to finance the project with low monthly payments. We are now just 2 months away from federal tax incentives for solar, including savings of as much as 30%, disappearing completely, possibly forever. Solar panel projects take time to plan, permit and commission, so if you want to benefit, you need to act now or lose out on those savings. Follow the links below to sign up for Energy Sage's free no-obligation service and get started today. And if you choose an Energy Sage installer, we will also receive a small referral fee, so you'll be helping us too. Help the grid get greener, save money, gain energy independence, and support this show? It's a win-win, win-win. We're off to recall reminders now, and as a reminder, full details are on our website if these affect you. Lucid is issuing a recall campaign for around 225 Lucid Airs to address improperly secured bolts that can cause the rear half shaft to disconnect. Owners will be contacted. BYD is carrying out a nationwide recall campaign in China of its Tang and Yuan Pro models to address a potential sealing defect in their traction battery packs. A fix has been devised. And finally, for the recalls, Tesla is recalling some Model 3 and Model Y vehicles in the US due to a faulty power contactor inside affected vehicles' battery packs. A recall campaign has begun. And that's it for your recall reminders. Now it's time for news shorts. You'll find links to our covered stories on our website at www.transportevolved.com. General Motors has announced that its Escalade IQ EV will be the first of its vehicles to get its next generation of semi-autonomous driver assistance tech, offering hands-off, eyes-off capabilities where legal. Rivian has announced it will be reducing its workforce by approximately 4.5%, equivalent to around 700 employees, as it tries to lean down ahead of R2 production. General Motors, along with cathode partner POSCO, have halted a planned expansion to a cathode material production facility in Quebec, Canada. US policies and customer demand is blamed. US President Donald Trump has extended exemptions designed to allow US companies the ability to reclaim 3.75% of the price of their vehicles against import tariffs. At the same time, he's also announced massive import tariffs on foreign-made trucks and buses. The refreshed Zeekr 001 and the new Zeekr 7X have both been given new 900-volt battery packs as the Chinese market pushes towards ever higher voltage, faster charging battery packs. Leapmotor has unveiled a new flagship SUV in the form of the D19. It features powerful dual Qualcomm Snapdragon chips along with an onboard oxygen generator to improve cabin comfort when travelling at high altitude. The government of the Canary Islands has announced a new funding programme worth €1.8 million to support EV adoption. Taxis, buses and commercial passenger operators can apply. CATL has announced it's just commissioned its 700th battery swap station in China. It plans to install 1,000 such stations by the end of the year and says it is on track to reach that goal. Volvo, in partnership with Vattenfall, has just launched a new free home charging initiative designed to give Volvo customers in its home market of Sweden a full year of complimentary at-home charging. The Czech capital city of Prague has confirmed that it will ban the use of rentable electric scooters in its old town centre from next year. Privately owned scooters can still be used, not rentable ones. Mercedes-Benz has officially opened the order books in Europe for its recently revealed GLC with EQ technology. Pricing will start in Europe from €71,281. British company Advanced Electric Machines has signed a new development partnership with what it's calling a major automotive supplier. The firm specialises in rare earth-free electric motors. The Škoda Group has signed a new agreement with a public transportation company in the Czech city of Ostrava. It will supply the city with 14 all-electric trolleybuses from 2027. The European Alternative Fuels Observatory, part of the European Commission, has completed a new study of electric big rig charging in Europe. It says Germany currently leads the transition to all-electric freight. BYD has confirmed it plans to establish a nationwide network of high-power, up to 1 megawatt EV charging stations across South Africa. The company plans to dramatically expand its presence there. Moia, in collaboration with Volkswagen and BVG, has launched their first autonomous shuttle vans on the streets of Berlin. The vehicles are custom-adapted Volkswagen ID Buzz. Hyundai officially began the pre-sales process of its EO SUV in China this week. Originally known as the Hyundai ELEXIO, the vehicle is already being produced in China at a BAIC-owned production facility. DHL Express in the US has officially begun using Mercedes-Benz e-Sprinter vans for its fleet. 45 examples are now being used, with a plan to integrate many more in the future. Dutch charging company Fastned has posted its third quarter figures this week, mirroring its gross curve from the first half of the year. It says it has seen a 44% increase in revenue this quarter. Oliver Blume, current CEO of Porsche, will step down at the end of this year to be replaced by Michael Leiters. Blume will continue his position instead as the head of the Volkswagen Group. Chinese firm Chery has unveiled a new battery pack which it says will offer 600 watt-hours of capacity per kilogram. It is promising the solid-state battery pack will enter into a pilot production phase next year. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles have confirmed it is expanding one of its Polish production facilities in order to prepare for new production lines for its next-generation all-electric crafter van. Amplify Cell Technologies, a joint venture between Accelera by Cummins, Daimler Truck and Packard, is pausing its planned battery cell production start date until 2028 because politics. The US state of Michigan has awarded a total of $35.9 million to school districts in the state to add 87 new electric and 10 propane school buses to their fleets. Meanwhile, in Maryland, a new $5 million EV charging grant initiative has been announced aimed at improving both public and workplace charging station deployment across the region. General Motors has confirmed that come next year, you'll not only be able to lease a GM electric vehicle, but also its vehicle-to-home backup power solutions, helping customers avoid the high initial setup cost. Solaris Bus and Coach has signed a new deal with MZA in Warsaw, a plan to help expand its electric bus fleet. The deal will see 50 new articulated electric buses added to the in-service fleet there. Daimler Truck and Bus-owned school bus company Thomas Built Buses has introduced its first all-electric Type D school bus, called the Wattson. It will join the rest of Thomas Built Buses' electric lineup. Just a week after launching its first residential pilot program in California, Wallbox has announced it's expanding its bidirectional Quasar 2 deployment with up to 180 new potential homes. Korean Air has signed a new exclusive partnership deal with Archer Aviation to allow it to introduce electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft in the country. 100 Midnight aircraft will be purchased by the airline. Volvo Group has officially delivered its first L90 electric wheel loaders to customers. Capable of running for 4 to 5 hours continuously, or up to 8 hours in lighter-duty applications, the new loaders promise to significantly reduce operator costs. In California, new data shows that zero-emission vehicles, battery electric and hydrogen fuel cell models made up 29.1% of all new car sales last quarter. Porsche has unveiled the GTS variant of its all-electric Macan EV. Sitting just below the Macan Turbo, it delivers 420 kilowatts to the wheels and sprints from the 0 to 60 stoplight in 3.8 seconds. Uber is rebranding its Uber Green service to Uber Electric in certain US markets. It's also launching a new program to help Uber drivers make the switch to EVs if they haven't yet. The latest US Wind Energy Monitor report suggests there was a 60% drop in wind capacity deployment in the second quarter, year over year. However, existing data suggests it will bounce back, with full-year installations predicted to hit 7.7 gigawatts. At next week's Japan Mobility Show, Nissan says it will demonstrate its EO solar extender for the first time. Designed to fit on its Sakura EV, it promises up to 3,000 kilometres of solar driving per year. UK-based axial flux motor specialist YASA has set another power density record. It smashed through its July record of 42 kilowatts per kilogram with a new record of 59 kilowatts per kilogram. The UK government has confirmed that certain model variants of the Volkswagen ID.4 and ID.5 are now eligible for the UK Electric Car Grant programme, but you should check with your local dealer for full eligibility. The Chinese government has announced a plan to double the number of EV charging stations across the country over the next 3 years. The government promises to be more attentive to inclusiveness. And finally, for the news shorts, Pony AI has announced a partnership with Stellantis to develop robotaxi services in Europe, centred on the all-electric Peugeot e-Traveller. On a more personal note for Dungeon Crawler Carl fans, Matt Dinnerman has officially broken me, and I now just think prepotente when I hear the word pony. Don't worry, I'm not going to scream, however tempted I am. And yes, Mongo is appalled. And those are your news shorts. There will be more next week. Before we get to our final two stories, I want to take a moment to talk directly to you. Transport Evolved has been bringing you independent news about cleaner, greener, safer, smarter and more equitable transportation for 15 years, and 10 of those have been here in the US. We are a tiny, fully independent team with 3 full-time members and 1 part-timer. Without your support, we simply couldn't exist. This month, YouTube's ad revenue is on track to be the lowest I can remember, partly because the platform is taking a bigger cut of ad revenue, but it's also quietly limiting the reach of new content from trans and queer creators. We are far alone from feeling that, and in our place, we're seeing a flood of AI-generated cruft and hyper-divisive content, which is why we're running a special pledge drive through September and October. From as little as $1.50 a month on Patreon, you can help keep Transport Evolved alive, independent and visible. In fact, it's thanks to our Patreon supporters that this week, when our main radio packs lay on their back and did the death dance, that we could just go online, order replacement units and microphones, and know that we can afford it and keep making the videos you love. So if you'd like to keep us going, now is the perfect time to join. You have just 1 week left to join before the end of our autumnal drive, and if you do, you'll get an amazing piece of digital art on screen now, showing the team on location filming. There are plenty of Easter eggs in there, and yes, we even made a spring version for those in the Southern Hemisphere, so you don't feel left out. Your support keeps Transport Evolved alive and independent, so thank you for being part of this exciting and important journey. And now it's time for those last two stories. There was a time when an EV record at the Nürburgring in Germany would stand for months, sometimes even years, before another car came along to break it. Now the battle for the crown is full-blown. Earlier this year, Chinese firm Xiaomi set a new EV track record with its SU7 Ultra. With the company sponsoring the famous track, it looked as if the ring had found a new electric champion. But just weeks later, the unfortunately named Yangwang U9 Xtreme had other ideas. It has become the first production EV to slip under the 7-minute lap time, recording an astonishing 6 minutes 59.157 seconds. Some may question its eligibility for the production EV crown because only 30 units are going to be made. But the skill of driver Moritz Krantz, combined with the incredible engineering behind this 3 megawatt, 1200 volt machine, cannot be ignored. So hats off to everyone involved. And finally for the show, a personal confession. As many of you know, I grew up on a dairy farm and I have a dirty little secret. I like the smell of diesel farm machinery. Gasoline? Yeah, I could go happily without ever smelling it again. But apparently not everyone feels the same. Apparently, some people miss the smell of petrol when they switch to electric. At least that's the premise behind a clever new marketing campaign by Finnish firm Astra Auto, which imports Kia EVs to the country. They teamed up with perfumier Max Petula to create an air freshener that smells like petrol. No, it's not April 1st. I checked. And personally, I can't imagine anyone actually liking it. I mean, that smell just gives me a headache. Old diesel oil and hydraulic fluid, though? Now that I don't mind. But then I also regularly visit my local small-sized dairy farm to spend time with the cows. And on that TMI confession, it is time to end today's show. But first, a massive thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. The EVA has been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967 and remains firmly committed to a cleaner, greener future for everyone. Join the EVA today to find out how to become an EV educator, meet like-minded fans, and get the help you need to make your own transition to electric. Help that includes a low-interest loan program to help finance your next step. Find out more at myeva.org. And thanks go to Energy Sage. Follow the link below to plan your own energy-independent future before those tax credits vanish. And thanks to you. If you can, please consider supporting us from just $1 and 50 cents a month on Patreon. If just 400 of our 152,000 subscribers who have yet to sign up to Patreon did so and committed to giving the equivalent of a fancy coffee a month, we would be in so much a better financial position. And don't forget, if you join Patreon this autumn, before the end of October, you'll get a special exclusive piece of digital art by the lovely Erin, featuring the entire team. We publish every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on this channel, and every Sunday we drop 2 videos on Transport Evolve Take 2, which is our more informal behind-the-scenes Nikki talking to a camera channel. And just as a bit of a heads up, next week's show, which will air on November 1st, is going to be filmed a little early because I'm going to take a little bit of a holiday around my birthday. I don't think I've been on a holiday for a really long time, so I'm taking a few days off. And finally, some important words for you all. You are valid, you are loved, and you belong, and you have a purpose. This past weekend, the No Kings protest across the US hopefully gave you all a spark of hope for the future. While politicians there and around the world continue to slide towards authoritarianism, I want you to remember the way we stop it is through intentional action. Engage in tactical frivolity. Don't surrender to fear, hate, or misinformation. And that is just as true as it is in Portland, Oregon, as it is anywhere power and greed seek to crush the will of regular, ordinary people. So don't buy into division and cruelty. Empathy is a skill we must practice daily to preserve our shared humanity. Just like humour, it's an act of radical resistance. But everyone also needs time out. Unplug, get outside, dive into a good book. I think I probably hinted at my current favourite on today's show, and make sure that you recharge. Care for yourself and your loved ones now so that you can return ready to fight for decency, community justice and a better world. Let your light shine in or outside of an inflatable frog costume. Wherever you are, whoever you love, you're not alone. Be an ally. Be kind, be the change you want to see in the world. Do not let hate or ignorance win. As always, keep evolving.